Yes, and in this segment, I'll be hosting the Great Game Debate. It's a segment where we look at board games of the past and see if that game still holds up to today's standards. A game that's considered great, fantastic, and for me, it's my number one game, Heaven and Ale. Let me go to Andy, where he'll share more about it.
So what do you do in this game? You are going to take your piece, and you're going to start from one of these 4 spots. You're going to give either the first player, you're going to get 2 extra resources, or 1 on your Brewmaster track, or 2 coins to start with. And you're going to move along this rondel, and you can go as far as you want and pick up any of these resources. You stop here, you'll pick up this resource, and then the player behind you will then take their turn. They don't have to go to this spot, they could jump all the way down here, etc. You can never go backwards. So you're picking up stuff as you go. The thing that's interesting as you try to want more resources, let's say I really want this green hops resource up here, but it's all the way up there. I have to make a decision. Do I jump up there to get it before somebody else or not? Because in doing so, I forego all those resources. So you continue to do that. You go around the map with 4 players 6 times. Each time you put out new monks, and these monk tiles, that determines your the round order. So how do these tiles work? Well, you're going to place them on your board. A board looks like this. It's a big hex board. You've got a dark side and a light side. As you start placing the pieces on the board, you're going to spend the money to place them. So this one here, for instance, and let me go over the resources real fast. It is all the ingredients to brew beer, I believe. You have got your wheat or hops. No, wheat or barley. Yeah, barley, I think. Barley, water, hops. I always want to say rice. It's not rice. It's it's yeast. Thank you. Someone in the background told me that. Wood over here. And so you're building these resources up along this track. You want to try and get them as far up this barrel track as you can. And at the end of the game, I'll explain how points work, but that's basically what you're trying to do. As you place these hex tiles down, you have to pay for them. So for this yeast here, you're going to spend $3 if it's on the dark side. If you were to place it on the light side, it's going to be twice as much. It's going to be $6. The difference is that when they score on the light side, it moves the barrel up the track 3 spots. When it scores on the dark side, it gets you 3 money. You play with a super tight economy. You start with $25, or ducats, I believe they are. And anyway, it's super tight, so you have to be very careful to build your engine in such a way that you can keep money flowing in without scoring too many points early and then leaving yourself in a mess. Throughout the game, you're going to score each thing only 1 time. These are all the different spots you can score. So, for instance, right now, if I were to score yeast, I would score all the yeast tiles on my board, which would just be 3 in the dark. That would just give me $3. I would get $3. If it was over here, I would get the yeast resource would move up 1, 2, 3 on that track there. Obviously, it's a little bit of a push your luck game because you kind of want to build your board up before you start scoring these things. But the thing that's interesting is to score, you have to stop on one of these spots on the board, which have these purple tokens. Once the purple tokens are gone, you can no longer stop on those spots. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, and you're only going around 6 times. So there's 36 chances to score, and what do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've got 10 things we can score. So technically, not everybody can score all 10 of their things. So you're going to run into an issue, especially in the later rounds, where it's going to be really hard to score because everybody's going to be trying to take these spots to score. Okay, so that's how you move these things up the track. That's kind of an overview of how you score things. The way you get points, well, it's going to work 2 different ways. You're going to score based on a multiplier. So you've got something called your Brewmaster down here as well. It starts down here. You want to get him up here. Let's say he finishes here on this 9. Okay, so in this spot here, you get 2 things. You're going to get this 3-for-1 thing. This means that you can move resources backwards 3 spots to move another resource up 1. So let's say my hops are here and my yeast is all the way up here. If I were to finish here, I could go 1, 2, 3 at the end and move that up 1. And you try and do that because you're going to get whatever your lowest resource is what you will score. You're going to score, in this case, the Brewmaster's here, 4 times whatever your lowest resource is on. So if my lowest resource is on 4 and I'm on Brewmaster's here at 9, it's going to be 4 times 4. That'll be 16 points. In addition to that, so that's one way to score points. And then the other way is by accomplishing goals, which you're going to find out here. These are in-game goals or goals that actually happen throughout the game. And I won't go over all of them in detail, but some of them have to do with filling up different sides of the board, with scoring different things, with getting your Brewmaster up on the barrel track. And when you get these things done and you accomplish those, you can grab these, which are worth 4 victory points. The second person to do so gets a smaller barrel, which is worth 2 victory points. So there you have it. That is some of the basics of Heaven and Ale. There are also some cards over here, that some special cards that you can score. If you'll notice real fast over here, you can see that these different scoring areas are built into these little pairings. If you score both, end up scoring both pairings, you can then take one of your cards here and turn it in for a bonus, and they do different things. So like this one, for instance, allows the barrels to be worth 1 extra victory point. So instead of 4 and 2, it's 5 and 3. So that can be very powerful if you've scored a lot of those barrels. But there's several others that do different things. Also, if you ever do run out of money at any point in the game, you can always turn this card in for 3 money, but it goes away and you can no longer score that bonus. So there you go, a little overview of Heaven and Ale.
That was pretty good, Andy. Thank you. No, I love Heaven and Ale. Heaven and Ale is a fantastic game. It really is. And what I think it does so well is it's got great replayability. It's a thinky, puzzly game, and there's tension. There's just a lot of tension, and yet it's simple what you do, and yet it's so meaningful the actions you take. Every single action can dramatically affect everything that happens in the game for you. So it is prone to a little analysis paralysis, perhaps, but again, the simplicity of it makes it so that it's not too bad. I love it. I just absolutely love Heaven and Ale, and it's funny because again, the theme doesn't really resonate with me, but that's so the case with so many Euro games where the theme doesn't necessarily grab me, but the mechanics are just so amazing. And in this game, the mechanics are fantastic. The theme works okay. It's not terrible. There's worse. You're brewing beer as a monk. Oh, and I didn't even think about this. I forgot. I had a little sound effect for this.
Is your monks brewing beer?
That's right.
Drunk monks.
And sometimes playing the game kind of, with me at least, feels like that, where you're just kind of hitting yourself like, oh gosh, is he gonna take his turn or what? But no, it's a fun game. Very tight economy, very meaningful choices. It does, like I said, the theme's not sexy, but it works. Heaven and Ale. It's a winner for me. It's, like I said, #1 on my list. What do you guys think?
Andy,
John?
would you like it better if it was He-Man themed? Just, I don't know. I heard you were into He-Man.
Like He-Man brewing beer?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Maybe. Trying to stop him?
Or
like
Eternia juice. What else is it called?
Eternia juice. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, let's get right to Daniel and go to John.
Well,
no,
we're going to go to
Daniel.
me. I know it's been 22 episodes. Andy
We do
forgets
go around
that
the
we
board.
Around the board.
I just give you some sass.
No, I'm in the camp of Andy. I really enjoyed Heaven and Ale. I think we kind of discovered it at the same time. I think Andy found the game. Maybe it was taught to us. I don't remember. I just know that he latched onto it a lot quicker than I did, but I did enjoy it. And the more I've played it, I've grown to appreciate it. It is a really challenging game as far as like tight consequences. And it's funny that Andy mentioned the slapping yourself in the face, because like my first point is the anxiety that this game gives you, which is good in games. Like you want that anxiety. You want to stress over, did I make the right decision? And did I go too far down the path? I don't know. Only time will tell. Also, how the scoring is set up, where there's like 6 pieces that are limited, and then you go around the board 3 times. So there's 6 times 3 is 18. There's only 18 opportunities to score your pieces. And that's like stressful, because you go, okay, I'm not at the optimal point where I want to score yet, but if I don't do it now, I may never get to score again. So you're always trying to decide when you want to do that. And then the monks placements is also really fun, because when you trigger the monks, it triggers things around it. So when I played against John and Chris, I kind of had I saw the Matrix. I had one of those moments where my eyes opened and I was like, oh my gosh. And I just had perfect placements, and I was triggering monks left and right and left and right. And I was just getting all the resources. And even the way that the resources are generated in this game is so clever, because it's like you move around the track and then you move your monk around as well. And then you kind of multiply your monk's place it with your lowest resource. And if you get them all to match up, you get a perfect score. This is a game where you can actually get a perfect score. You can bowl a 300. You can pitch a perfect game. How many games can you say that about? That's pretty exciting to me.
Well, point of order, a couple things, Daniel. First of all,
hey, I agreed with you.
How many
Exactly.
players you play with depends how many times you go around the board. So with 4 players, it's actually 6 times around the board.
Oh,
3, I
okay.
believe, is with 2 players. Second of all, I disagree that you can bowl a perfect game in this because you cannot always solve the puzzle because you don't know what the other opponents are going to do and what they're going to take. And there's varying strategies, and that's what's so great about it is you have to look at what other people are doing and react accordingly. And the board is laid out each time differently because the resources are on different squares. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh, I agree, but I'm not saying like it's not like full of choices. You still have to get there, but I'm just saying there is a max in the points, right? Because if your lowest resource meets your guy at the very end on the 20 spot, that's the most points you can get in the game.
I've never seen anyone do that, but yes, sure.
But you could. It's on there. Challenge accepted. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
John, what about you?
Oh, hey, it's my turn. So glad you guys are having a little love fest over this game, but I was just thinking if Seals and Croft said we may never come this way again, as Daniel was talking about, hey, you may never pass by that chance to score again. But really, this game, when you say the theme doesn't speak to you, give me a break. There is a theme to this game. I'll tell you what it is. It's Algebra, the board game, because that's what Heaven and Ale is. You've got your little numbers here that you're putting around your fields. You're like, oh, well, this is an 8 and an 8. I need a 2. Wait a minute. That one's got a 4 and a 7. If I need that 7 and 4 times X is okay. So I need that one. But if I can't get that one, I can get that one, which is another number. And so that number can go here with it. It's all numbers. It's numbers, put numbers together. You got numbers to put numbers over numbers with numbers. And that's what Heaven and Ale is. There's no theme at all. There's no drunk monks. There's no brewing beer. There's none of that stuff. There are monks. There's pictures of monks. And monks are very powerful in this game, as our friend Kent O'Connor would probably be very happy about that. But
he's not a monk.
He's the closest one I know. But anyway, but yeah, Daniel proved that in the game that we played because I've had one play of it, and that's probably going to be it. I would play it again because it is a decent game, but it's number crunching and it's doing numbers with numbers to make numbers, and just know that's what it is going in. But with the monks, they are very powerful. And when Andy might have talked about them in the explanation of this game, where what I thought the monks were was you put all the monks on your board and whatever they're next to, when you activate the monk, you get those numbers, and that's it. You're done with the monks for the rest of the game. I didn't realize that they could score when they're around the fields and all that. So, well, now they are really powerful. I was putting them around their fields just to make less points because in my algebraic mind, I'm like, well, I can't have any more points around this field because I need to score X, and that one needs to score X plus 2, and that one needs to score X plus 3 minus 5. And then you can get some points going. A decent game. Is it one of the best games? Is it a great game? I don't think so, just because literally there's no theme. I mean, some games are halfway themeless. It's numbers. That's your theme, is numbers. That's literally it. What are you doing that's anything like brewing beer or growing anything?
You are incorrect. You have the different resources that make up what you need to do to brew beer. So you've got your yeast, you've got your hops,
resources are numbers. The resources are literally numbers with different colors that you put on your board. That's all it is.
Your point is completely invalidated because I hate algebra. I failed it like 3 times in college, and I love this game. And I haven't failed it yet. Chris, how about you?
It failed you.
Yeah. Well, I guess you failed 3 times in college because I assume you took it 4 times in high school because you're supposed to do algebra in high school, not college. So whatever.
It's like different types of algebra.
So I agree with John here. Like, it's it is numbers. The game. I have no problem with that. I unlike John, I actually don't care about theme. It absolutely doesn't matter to me at all. It can only be the cherry on the top. I've talked about it before. So if it's there, cool. If it's not, I don't care. So that doesn't bother me. What bothers me about this game is you are punished for doing well. You get the right numbers, you get the high numbers, you get there, and I did really good. Sweet, it's gonna be awesome. Oh no, the thing that you need actually doesn't move up because you did too good. That's stupid. And then the monks, these monks are like D&D 5e monks. They are superheroes. They are stupid powerful. And Daniel was talking about it like, oh, hey, early on in that game we played, he's like, hey guys, sorry, I figured this game out, so it's gonna suck for you. We're like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine, that happens. I like games that punish the people that don't know what they're doing. That means that game requires thought, and it's not some sort of simple, dumb, modern board game where everyone kisses each other and there's rainbows and flowers and everything like that. I want a game that's punishing and difficult, but it was so frustrating the way it was because it was all but these stupid monks. And when you play them, then it activates that, and we just didn't understand it, so it was fine. It's just the game's kind of imbalanced because of the monks. They are just too powerful. But if you know that, it's probably okay.
Okay.
But I will say this about the perfect game: that only works when you're Daniel. You're playing with people who have no idea what you're doing. And the reason it works is because you take your turn back 3 or 4 times and keep reactivating the monks. That's what he was doing. He actually was just straight cheating and not even using the monks like he's supposed to. He was using them like multiple times, I'm convinced. Because every turn he was like, I'm going to use this monk, then I'm going to use this monk, then I'm going to use this monk. We're like, oh, cool. I took a wheat. That was a 2. All right, my turn's over.
Are you guys playing the same game as me? Are you using the monks correctly?
I don't know.
You're
I
not.
was playing with Daniel, and they were like superheroes. That's
Wait a
all
minute.
I know.
I think you're using the monks incorrectly
Let
because
me
we did this
explain.
when I first played it. I screwed it up too, and I think you're screwing it up. The monks, when a monk activates a monk, all it does is move your brewmaster up 1.
Correct.
It doesn't
Yeah.
activate everything around that second monk. Were you playing it
Gotcha.
like that?
No.
But the monks activate when your fields activate. When you're pointing at what things can activate. If it points at a monk, you
The
activate
building. When you complete a building,
Yes.
you can choose to activate a monk. When
Yes.
you activate that monk, all it does is move your brewmaster 1 spot.
That's it.
That's it. You're doing it wrong.
Cheated.
You said when it points at a second monk.
Whenever
yeah.
a monk, the only time a monk activates everything around it is when you score that monk.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh.
Chris, we didn't lose by as much as we thought.
Okay, well, I was feeling pretty good about myself because I was like, I'm amazing.
Oh, we
at this
noticed.
game.
We noticed.
Yeah,
You were having a grand old time over there. We're taking 20-minute turns, and we're like, "Yep, got my wheat. All right, moving on."
So I was
I had
doing
a
all right.
feeling. I had a feeling this the way you were talking. I was like, no, you guys are playing this game totally wrong.
Okay, well, in
Monks
fairness,
are not that powerful. They're fun, but they're not like superheroes.
Okay,
Gotcha.
good.
Well, in fairness, I never read the rules. This is a situation where Andy always taught me the game. I'm not blaming you, Andy, but I'm just saying I've never read the rules myself. So I was like, this is
Sure.
how it works. I'm pretty sure it's like the Monopoly effect.
I'm pretty
where
sure.
You play it so many times the wrong way. You're just like, oh, this is the way you do it. And then you teach somebody else. And then they're like, yeah, that's how you play Monopoly.
Why is it that when I say something in a game like I'm pretty sure this is how it works, I can never get away with it, but you somehow can?
Because no one read the books. Well, my apologies to John and to Chris.
Mhm.
But it's still not very far. Just how much I beat them is, I think, the only thing that really changed about that game.
Well, or that you
Well,
want to always
and the
know,
experience
but
with the game that you gave them. You gave them a
Well,
crap experience.
no,
Well,
it didn't
sure,
change
and
anything.
even that aside, like it really didn't change anything for me. It's fine. Like I think it's a fine game. I wasn't blown away by it, but I like the fact that it has the Tigris and Euphrates where you score the lowest thing. Like that was cool. I always like the mechanic. So
What
it was
were you
fine.
saying,
I wasn't blown away by that though.
Chris?
But it
What
was
were you
good.
saying about being punished for having something? I was missing your point there too.
Because like when you're finishing the towns or whatever it is, the buildings, like the more you have numbers, like if you have like the 7, the 6, the 5, the 4, it's like, oh, you got 18 plus, so you don't get the thing you actually need.
Oh,
Like,
well, see, again, it's all about balance. You're playing it wrong, I think. I'm not saying you're playing it wrong, but the thing is you have to
I know
what
what they're
you're
trying
doing.
to drive home. I just didn't like it. Like I thought it was a frustrating mechanic.
Because
So.
actually, what's really powerful is building a city that has 24 plus and it activates 4 hexes around it. That's amazing.
yeah, but sometimes you need to get like a 7 so that you can move your brewmaster
Brewmaster up 6. I agree.
Yeah,
You have
they
to have
didn't like
balance. You have
that. They didn't like that a small field was just as important as a big field, which I don't
Right.
quite understand that.
They're just
Oh,
different.
I didn't care about that. I was just tired of doing all the math all the time.
All right, well, guys, that's enough about Heaven and Ale. What do you think about
Yes,
the
it
game?
is.
Again, number 1 on my list. Apparently, not so much on John and Chris's list. Daniel likes it.
No,
Okay.
it was fine.
I
was
like it a
alright.
lot.
Leave us your comments below and tell us where you think Heaven and Ale ranks.
Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board.